Hello students, welcome to my channel. In the previous part of chapter number 3, Exogenetic Movement part 1, we have seen the meaning of weathering. What are the different types of weathering? We have talked about what is physical or mechanical weathering, and we have talked about what are the reasons for mechanical weathering. We continue with the chapter. Figure 3.5 of your textbook is an experiment of chalk. Here you have taken a glass of water and put some pieces of chalk in it. You have kept it for a day. The next day when you observe, you will see that the color of the water has changed. It has become light. It has become slightly of the color of the chalk. If you have put white chalk, it has become whitish in color. And what has happened to the chalk? The chalk has reduced in size. That is, some materials in the chalk have dissolved in the water. Experiment next we will see now. Figure 3.6. This is the experiment of screws. In wet cloth, you have to take certain iron nails and keep it wrapped for 2 days. Cloth is wet. You have taken iron nails and you have kept it for 2 days. After 2 days, open the cloth. What will you see? Are there any stains on the cloth? The answer is yes. There are stains on the cloth. Which color are they? They are reddish brown in color. Okay. What could be the reason for the stain? Now, these iron nails are made up of iron. Reaction has taken place, a chemical reaction has taken place between water, oxygen and iron oxide, that is rust is formed, and the color of the rust is reddish brown, and this same stains you can see on the cloth. So reddish brown stains are seen on the cloth, and these are nothing but the stains of rust, and rust is nothing but iron oxide. Let us now understand what is chemical weathering. In the experiment of nails, we have talked about the chemical reaction taking place between iron nails, moisture and oxygen. So now let us understand what is chemical weathering. In that experiment, I have also told you that the cloth is wet. This experiment was possible only in the presence of water. That means water plays an important role in chemical weathering, or rather in any chemical weathering, water is of utmost importance. Now you know that water is universal solvent. Many things dissolve in water. Okay, easily those things get dissolved in water. That is why water is called as universal solvent. Now when anything dissolves in water, a solution of it is formed in water. If I dissolve salt in the water, it will be solution of salt and water. If I dissolve sugar in water, it will be the solution of sugar and water. In the same way, water forms solution when anything dissolves in it. Now, there are certain things which are soluble in water, but some other materials which are not soluble in water will now easily dissolve in such a solution. I hope you have understood what is solution. When things dissolve in water, as water is universal solvent, a solution of water is formed, and those materials which were not able to dissolve easily in water now gets easily dissolved in this solution. Is it clear? We come to the concept of carbonation. Now students, you can see water is accumulating in this reddish rock. In this rock that is shown here, water is accumulating, and finally what will happen to this water? It will finally break this rock. So we come to the concept of carbonation. Now rainwater, when it starts falling down, it has to pass through atmosphere before it reaches the ground. Rainwater passes through the atmosphere before it reaches the ground. In the atmosphere, carbon dioxide is present. So rainwater mixes with the carbon dioxide. A reaction takes place. Carbon dioxide and water together forms carbonic acid. Okay, this acid is a mild acid. You can see the reaction shown there. Water plus carbon dioxide gives you carbonic acid. Now materials like limestone gets easily dissolved in such acid. Materials like limestone get dissolved in such acid. We come to what is solution now. Now minerals in the rock get dissolved in water. We have seen already what is solution. When something gets dissolved in water, as water is universal solvent, it forms a solution. Now lime water is formed due to chemical precipitation between water and alkalis. Lime water is formed due to chemical precipitation between water and alkalis. So we have understood what is solution. Solution means when minerals in the rock get dissolved in the water, it forms solution. Now limestone is formed due to chemical precipitation between water and alkalis. Now here precipitation means solidification, that is solidification of the previously dissolved substance from a solution. So substances which are dissolved in the solution, water part in it will get evaporated and the solid part which remains behind, okay, is known as precipitation. So limestone is formed because of chemical precipitation between water and alkalis, coming together of water and alkalis and precipitation taking place, it will form limestone. At Vadgaon Darya in Ahmednagar district, the area is made up of limestone. This limestone gets precipitated chemically, that is undergoes chemical weathering again. That means already the limestone is formed because of chemical precipitation. When water or when solution falls on it, once again the limestone gets chemically precipitated. It will once again undergo chemical weathering and some part of that limestone will dissolve in the solution, making the limestone hollow. It will make it brittle at time and caves are formed in this way. The alkali part of this limestone which has got dissolved, it will be seen deposited at the floor or the ceiling of the caves and water will get evaporated, but the alkali part will remain settled there and columns will be seen forming either from ceiling towards the floor or from floor towards the ceiling. In the next picture you will see one such cave. Here students, you can see the cave in which this depositions which are formed, okay, the water part has got evaporated, but depositions over a period of time, over long period of time, these depositions have started growing. You can see the columns growing from top, that is from the ceiling of the cave towards the bottom, and at times this must have dropped down to the floor. So the columns are rising from bottom towards the ceiling, and at places you will see these columns are meeting. Okay, so these columns are called as stalactites, stalagmites. Let us see what is oxidation now. You must have seen, students, rocks which are reddish in color. Generally the rocks which are reddish in color are having iron present in it. Mineral iron is present in such rock. Iron in the rock, when it comes in contact with the water, a chemical reaction takes place and reddish color layer is formed. This layer we called as rust. So this reddish color of that rock is because of presence of mineral iron in the rock. In the presence of oxygen and water, a chemical reaction has taken place and rust is formed. So reddish rock is because of this rust present on that rock. We have seen that experiment where the red stains were formed on the wet cloth after we have kept iron nails in it for few days. This generally red stones or reddish color stones are seen in the area where the rainfall is very high. There are many more processes involved in chemical weathering besides the one which we have seen. We have talked about solution, we have talked about carbonation, we have talked about oxidation. Now there are certain processes which we can experience every day. For example, moistening of table salt in the rainy season. When you cut an apple and when you keep it, the apple turns reddish in color. Also, bananas which are kept for many days, you can see the skin of the banana changing its color. So these are some of the example of daily life where chemical weathering is seen, where chemical reaction is seen. Now we come to what is biological weathering. Now biological weathering, after understanding what is mechanical and chemical weathering, biological factors are also responsible for weathering of the rock. Now biological factor means living things, plants, burrowing animals, human, algae, moss, lichen. These are some of the things which brings about biological weathering, which brings about the weathering of the rock, and all these things are living things. So weathering brought about by all this living matter is called as biological weathering. Now you must have seen trees growing on the old temples, temples which are not used, temples which are abandoned. On such temples you will see the trees, the roots of the trees are growing there, and what will happen, you can see the roots are growing in the cracks and crevices. As the tree grows bigger, the roots will grow bigger, and it will eventually destroy this temple, it will eventually decay this temple. See in this picture also, you must have seen pieces of rocks getting separated because of the roots of the trees growing in it. Okay, the roots are growing in the crack, and the pieces of the rocks will eventually break. It will, as the roots grow bigger, tension is created in that rock, and it will start giving away, it will start breaking away. You can see in the figure, you can see in the picture shown there. Also, weathering is brought about by burrowing animals who are making holes in the ground, also by ants as they make large ant hills. So rat, mice, rabbits and other worms and insects make burrows in the ground. These animals are called as burrowing animals, and because of their burrowing activity, they are helping in bringing about the weathering of the rock. Besides this, moss, algae, lichen and other flora also grows on the rock, making the rock brittle, making the rock weather. So this also brings about the weathering of the rock. Now we come to what is mass weathering, or what is mass wasting or mass movement. Weathered material moves down slowly due to the gravity. It moves down the slope of the mountain or hill, and when only gravity is the process involved, this is called as mass movement. I repeat once again, when gravity alone is involved in bringing this weathered material down the slope, it is called as mass movement. Now, because of the gravity, the weathered material, the materials which have already loosened, when materials which have already broken from the main rock, it will start sliding down the slope of the hill, and it will accumulate at the bottom of the hill or at the foothills. Now, this process has been going on for many years. Now, this mass movement can be of two types: rapid mass movement and slow mass movement. You can see large part of the weathered material have moved down the slope, and if it comes down with a greater speed, it is rapid mass movement, and if it comes slowly, it is slow mass movement. Let us understand what is rapid mass movement. Now, we have seen the rock falls and the landslide or land subsidence occur rapidly. Now, their effect can be very destructive. The probability of this event is more in the region having humid climate and steeper slope, where the mountain is having steeper slope and where the climate is humid and which is receiving a lot of rainfall. Landslides, rock falls are very common. A thick layer of weathered material forms on the slope. When it rains in such area, the rainwater penetrates this weathered material. Already the material has loosened, this weathered material has formed thick layer on the slope, and it is ready to come down. With lot of rain, what will happen, this weathered material, water will enter into this material, weight of this material will increase, and this weathered material with a great speed, it will come down the slope. This is called as landslide, or this is called as rock fall. The mudslide at Malin village in Pune district is very common. We know what happened, what a huge devastation that landslide had brought to that village. Sometimes the weathered material do not move down, but it sink in situ. Means in that very place, instead of coming down, those weathered material will sink in that place. In situ means where they are. It is called as slumping. So these were the two examples of rapid earth movement. Landslides, slumping are the examples of rapid earth movement. Let us see the picture of slumping. You can see that huge weathered material have not moved down the slope, but it has sink in the very place. In the same place it has sink down. We come to what is slow earth movement. Now generally this slow earth movement takes place in the area where the climate is dry and where the slope is gentle. So rapid earth movement took place in the area where the climate was humid and slope was steeper. But slow earth movement is taking place in the area where the climate is dry and the slope is not that steep, but it is gentle. In periglacial region, along the slope, small layers of soil accumulate because of movement of soil. This is called as solifluction. In periglacial region means the area where there is snowfall. In that region, along the slope, small layers of soil accumulate because of the movement of the soil. So small layers are accumulating, and as the slope is gentle, slowly layer after layer is coming down and you can see the layers being formed. This is called as solifluction. Dry area, this slow earth movement is common. Can you see layers are seen here? So layer after layer, the accumulated weathered material is coming down, but as the slope is gentle, it is not coming with a great speed, but slowly it is moving down, forming layers there. In this chapter we talked about weathering. Next chapter we will be talking about what is erosion and what are the different agents of erosion. So after understanding what is weathering, what is mass movement, next chapter we talk about erosion and different agents of erosions like wind, running water, glacier, sea waves, groundwater, and so on. I hope the chapter is clear. Thank you, friends.